Welcome back to the NRL Punters Weekly Digest. I'm Ben, and before I get into this week's Round 19 NRL preview, I'd just like to start by giving a massive shout out to my friends up north in Papua New Guinea for all your love and support following the release of my top 5 PNG NRL player video of all time. I was a little bit unsure about how it was going to be received because I know that people from PNG are very passionate about rugby league, as am I, and a lot of people in Australia, but particularly passionate. And I wasn't sure how you were going to view my particular top 5 picks, which obviously are very subjective, but you were very supportive and you gave me a lot of feedback on your thoughts, and it was good to know that I wasn't too far off the mark. Please keep the support coming. I'm going to have a lot more of these types of videos coming your way in the next few months. Long term, I'm planning to scrap my preview videos on a weekly basis, and I'm going to replace those videos with more doco style, top 5 opinion piece type videos, because that's the sort of content that I like to watch when I'm watching YouTube. So that's what I'm going to concentrate on going forward. But for the rest of the regular season, I'll be definitely sticking to these preview videos. And I also noticed a lot of people that have been liking my content haven't yet subscribed. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you want to stay in the loop of my content, please make sure that you smash that subscribe button. And if you like the video, please give me a like. Without any further ado, let's get into this week's Round 19 preview video. Before I preview the matches, though, I'd just like to announce that I had my best tipping week of the year. Last round, I tipped 7 from 8. And had the Broncos done their job, I would have been 8 from 8. So I was a little bit disappointed there, given that the Broncos were in a commanding position for a lot of the game. Well, they were definitely in the fight, and they kind of gave it away towards the end. So bad Broncos. Very disappointed in you. All right, Thursday night sees the Parramatta Eels, which is my best mates team, play my guys, the Canberra Raiders, from Cbus Super Stadium, because all the games are going to be played in Queensland, at least for the short term. I'm not sure if maybe Melbourne is also going to be an option venue-wise. I guess we shall see. This week, a lot of outs for both of these teams. But before I get into the outs for the ins and outs for each side, let's have a look at the form of these two sides. Eels last start winners against the Titans. Look, it was really all one-way traffic for the Eels until the last quarter of the game, where the Titans were able to pull back 2 consolation tries, I guess you could call them. For the Raiders, really good performance for them against the Sharks. They won 34-18. And this is the first time this season that they've put 30 points on the board in back-to-back contests. So some really good signs for the Raiders moving forward. Superstar in the making, Xavier Savage, who unfortunately has been ruled out for the season with an AC joint injury in his shoulder, which is really, really disappointing. He was outstanding. He scored a try, had 2 line breaks, 9 tackle breaks, and 246 run meters. So good showing from him. In terms of team changes for the Eels, Junior Paulo returns to prop, Niokore goes to the bench, and Bryce Cartwright returns to the reserves. Blake Ferguson returns to the wing for the first time in, I think, 6 rounds, with Hayes Dunster dropping to the reserves. And Will Penasini is set to debut in the centres for the Eels. Haven't seen much of him in the lower grades. I assume he's a good one if he's coming through the Parramatta system. For the Raiders, Jordan Rapana will replace Xavier Savage at fullback. As I mentioned earlier, he's ruled out for the season. Jack Whiten is also out with that lingering rib injury from last week's clash. Harley Smith-Shields plays his first game of the season, I think it is. Yeah, on the wing. It's really good to see him back in the side. I love this guy. We saw a little bit of him last year. He's got good raps on him. He's been injured for most of the season, but he gets a chance now. Craig Frawley. Not Craig Frawley. Craig Frawley used to play for the Raiders. Matt Frawley returns at 5'8". He was really good when he played a couple of weeks back. Ryan James returns to the reserves, and Matt Tomoko has been added to the interchange bench. Another young outside back prospect for the Raiders that I've been fiending for in the first grade side, but with Jared Croker back, it's obviously hard to fit him in the side. In the head-to-head market, you will get $1.17 for the Eels and $4.80 for the Canberra Raiders. Sounds about right to me. No disrespect to Canberra, but with the injuries, it's going to be a really tough slog for them. The only bright sign I would say for Canberra is that Mitch Moses is out for Parramatta, which is a really big blow for them. In the anytime try scorer market, I fancy Mike Acevo at $1.52, Blake Ferguson at $1.65. You'd think that he'd be hungry to score tries after returning to the NRL after an extended stint out. And Harley Smith Shields is my smoky at $2.10. In the margin betting market, look, I'm going Eels by 10, so if you want to go Parramatta 1 to 12, you'll get $3.20 for them. First Friday night game sees the Roosters take on the Knights from Sunshine Coast Stadium. Last week, the Roosters were winners against the Cowboys 34-18. They were able to hit back after an early North Queensland lead to go into halftime 14-12 up. And then from there, it was just one-way traffic for the Tricolours. They put 20 points to 6 on the Cowboys in the second half. Sam Walker just continues to rise to the occasion. What a talent we've got on our hands. I'm glad that there wasn't any talks of him potentially playing State of Origin football this year. I think he needs a bit of time to be able to come up to the mark. Obviously, Daly Cherry Evans is there also, but I think if they allow this guy the right amount of time to kind of blossom into what's a really important role at a powerhouse club at the Roosters to essentially be the in-game general. They can give him the time. He will bloom to his fullest potential. So that's all I'm saying. Anyway, he starred for them. He bagged a try. He had 2 try assists, a line break, 3 line break assists, 6 tackle breaks for a little fella. Good showing. And 131 running meters for a halfback is not bad at all. Knights were absolutely pummeled by the Storm last week. They lost 40-48. They had 1 try, which came from Dominic Young in the 56th minute. They were totally outclassed. If you look at the run meters, they conceded 2,182 run meters to 1,334, 10 line breaks to 1, and 8 tries. So it's not a good showing by Newcastle. They're not in great form at the moment, and they're really going to want to pick up their socks moving into the finals, or they're just going to fall out of favour with that top 8. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.28 for the Roosters and $3.60 for the Knights. In the anytime try scorer market, James Tedesco will get you $2.10, Matt Ikuvalu $1.60, and Angus Crichton $2.50. My tip in this game is the Roosters by 20, and if you want to hit the 13 plus for the Roosters, you'll get $2 for them. Second Friday night game is the Cowboys versus the Storm from Queensland Country Bank Stadium, all the way up there in the sunny tropics of Townsville. Last week, as mentioned earlier, the Cowboys were beaten by the Roosters 18-34. They were up to their knees in this contest up until I think about 11 minutes to go, and then they conceded a few tries, and then it was all over for them. Scott Drinkwater and Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, they continue to be some real shining lights for the Cowboys moving forward. They've got some really good young talent up north. I think it's just a matter of it all clicking together for them. Still, reasonably young side, so you think they've got some brighter days ahead of them in the future. Storm, as I mentioned earlier also, in the last game's preview, they totally destroyed the Knights. I mean, I don't know what I can say about the Storm that I haven't said before, and I feel like I've said these same words in a previous video, but there just really aren't enough superlatives to kind of describe how awesome they are as a club. They're just awesome. And big in this week, Ryan Pappenhausen is back, so they only get better. So, yeah. All right, so in terms of team changes, let's start with the Cowboys. Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow, the Hammer, remains at fullback after replacing Val Holmes there last week. Murray Talangi replaces the injured Jarvid Bowen in the centres. Kane Bradley debuts on the wing. Haven't seen this kid before, don't know much about him. Hylam Lukey returns from suspension on the bench, and he replaces Peter Holler. For the Storm, Puppy is back via the interchange bench, which means that Nico Hines retains his starting fullback spot. Who knows how long that will be for? Who knows if Craig Bellamy might not at the last second just decide to start Puppy ahead of Nico. I guess we shall see. Addo Carr and Christian Welsh return from Origin rests, as does Asofa Solomona, who was suspended last week, I believe. Dale Finucane hasn't been named. He's got a concussion concern. Cameron Munster and Felice Kafusi are being rested, which means that Cooper Johns gets to start at 5/8. In the head-to-head market, $10. $10 if you favour the Cowboys. I don't think they have a shot in hell to win, but $10 if you want them. $1.04 for the Storm, just not even worth looking at. In the anytime try scorer markets, Nico Hines $1.72. Remus Smith $1.85. I really like that guy. And the Fox, Josh Adokar $1.42. Not great value there, but chuck that into a multi and that'd probably just bump up your odds. My tip is a Storm to win by 40. Could be more, but I'm being conservative and saying 40 points. I would not be surprised if the Cowboys don't get on the board. And if you want to get on Melbourne 13 plus, there really is no value there. It's $1.18. First Saturday game, we've got the Rabbitohs taking on the Warriors at 3 p.m. from Sunshine Coast Stadium, which is the Melbourne Storm's home away from home, so it's a bit weird that they're playing that clash there. But, you know, with the COVID restrictions restricting the NRL to Queensland at the moment, the home games just don't make any sense at all. Last start, Rabbitohs, they just edged out the Bulldogs 32-24. Worrying signs for the Rabbitohs, and this has been a consistent theme for them throughout the season. Whilst they can put the points on the board, yes, we know that they're an outstanding attacking outfit, they concede way too many points. And way too many points against teams that are really not even in the same stratosphere of standing in the NRL as themselves. Case in point, the 16th place Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. No disrespect to them. They're a team on the build. I like what they're building towards, but let's be honest, they're at the bottom of the table. If I'm Wayne Bennett and I'm seeing my team conceding 24 points, I know that the finals are still, 6 or 7 weeks away, but that's a worrying sign for me. You do that in the finals against even against a Parramatta, a Penrith, a Melbourne Storm, good night. Your season's over. So it's a really disappointing performance from the Rabbitohs. Again, not to throw any shade at the Bulldogs. Good on them for really being in that contest. Warriors last week lost to the Panthers 16-30. They were there or thereabouts going into halftime. It was 16-10, I think, at the break. But then they just couldn't hold it together and go on with it. And I think in the end they conceded it was over 1,900 run meters to Penrith. So it's going to be tough to win a game when you're giving a team like Penrith that much ground. In terms of team changes for both sides, way too many for me to go through individually. So please just refer to the team list graphic that I provide for you. In the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.11 for the Penny Panthers, $6.25 for the men from the land of the long white cloud. In the anytime try scorer market, Josh Mansour returns to... I said Penrith, sorry. $1.11 for South, sorry. In the anytime try scorer market, Josh Mansour, you will get $1.45 for him. In his comeback game, he hasn't played first grade for a little while. Jackson Polo, $1.55 for him. I think he's another good in there. And then Reece Walsh from the Warriors, $2.50. He's making a habit of scoring at about a try a game click. So that's a good bet at $2.50 if you ask me. If the Warriors are going to score any points, and I think with the way the Bunnies have been defending, I think they're probably going to put 16 to maybe 18 points on the board. I think he's a special for a try. My tip in this game is the Rabbitohs by 10. I think it's going to be a close one, and I say it's going to be a close one because I just don't have much faith in the consistency of the Bunnies' defense at the moment. And if you want to get on Souths 1-12, you'll get $3.50 for that. 5:30 p.m. from Suncorp Stadium, which is just up the road from me. Manly take on the Tigers. Last start, the Seagulls beat the Dragons 32-18, and Josh Schuster and Kieran Foran both had really, really good games. Interesting to see them in the halves together. They combined really well. It was different. It was different to not have DCE there, but it was good different. Josh Schuster has got an outstanding passing game, and Kieran Foran looked like he kind of wound the clock back a little bit last week when he scored a partial solo try from about 15 to 20 meters out. He gave it. You could tell that his legs were doing all that they could possibly do at his age, but he got to the white line, and it was really good to see. Manly broke 45 tackles in that clash, which is completely disgraceful. I mean, as good as the Seagulls are as an attacking team, completely disgraceful from the Dragons to miss that many tackles. They look like a team with a head of steam going into these finals, and I tell you what, they are my Smoky, and they have been my Smoky for quite a few weeks now. Tigers pulled off, I don't even want to say an upset, but a really good win against the Broncos in a game that was really kind of to and fro with about 12 minutes to go. It was close. It was anyone's game, and they just went away with it. They scored 3 tries in the last quarter of the match, or more, sorry. And yeah, it's funny because I was watching the game. I kind of turned off because it was quite close. And to be honest, I didn't have a great vested interest in that game. So I was like, okay, I'll come back to it later. Check the score. All of a sudden, I think it was 24-22 at some point. Something like that to the Broncos. It was 2 to 4 points in it. And there was 20 odd minutes left in the game. Check the score. All of a sudden, Tigers have put 40 on the board, which is great for them. Worrying signs for the Broncos, although they're not playing finals football this year, let's be honest. In terms of team changes for the Seagulls, heaps of team changes. Please refer to the team list graphic. For the Tigers, lucky for them, no changes from last week's side that beat the Broncos. In the anytime try scorer markets, look, I'm going all Manly here because I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. Tommy Turbo, $1.58. Not amazing odds, but, whack that into a multi. Jason Saab, $1.52. You know what? Maybe whack those two guys into a multi together. You get yourself some okay odds there. I would not be surprised if they both score. I would not be surprised if they both score multiple times. And then my Smoky, but not really Smoky, and a guy who I was really struggling to pronounce his name at the start of the season, but now I've heard it so many times because this guy is at the tip of every commentator's lips when Manly are playing. That's how good this guy is. This guy is a bloody superstar in the making. He's that rare breed of forward who is freaking massive and fast and strong and powerful, and I just love watching this guy. Homolo, see, now I'm on the spot and I'm going to get it wrong. Homole Olakau'atu, love this guy. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. $2.30 you'll get for him. I want him to score a try, and I think that's great value. My tip in this game is the Seagulls by 30, and if you want to get on Manly 13+, you'll get $1.46 for them. Panthers Broncos from Suncorp Stadium at 7:35 p.m. That's a great little double header there. If you're in the Brisbane area and you're wanting to see some great football, now you got to think both these games realistically should be blowouts. But if you want to get in there for a double header, I'd check Suncorp Stadium. I have it on good authority that last week they were giving away double header passes. I don't know how that works, but check out the Suncorp Stadium website maybe, and just see if you can't get a good deal there. Because that's a good 4 hours worth of football and a good night out. And hey, once the football's over, head over to Caxton Street. If you don't have the kids with you, have a couple of brews and make a night of it. Anyway, let's get on to this game preview. So Panthers Broncos. Last week, Panthers winners against the Warriors 30-16. They got the job done against the Warriors. They did that without Cleary and Luai, which is always going to be promising to be able to do that without your star halves pairing. Kickout and Charlie Staines both bagged doubles for the Panthers. Broncos, as I mentioned earlier, they squandered, an opportunity to beat the Tigers. They were up 18-10 at halftime, and then it was, one-way traffic for the Tigers with about 20 minutes to go. So that was unfortunate for the Broncos. They will rue that missed opportunity. Again, not that they're going to play finals football this year, but, they'll be wanting to bring as much positive momentum into next season as they possibly can. In terms of team changes, Jerome Luai returns for the Panthers. Not that they're going to need him to do away with the Broncos, with all due respect. But he's back. Brent Naden drops to the reserves. He's been playing well for the Panthers. I kind of feel like, look, Penrith have got an embarrassment of riches at the moment. Brent Naden is a very good quality first-grade outside back. Like, he's in most 17s any day of the week. I think part of the reason that he's not making that 17 is just the ridiculous, wealth of talent that Penrith have at the moment, but also maybe because he's moving to Canterbury next year. I think maybe that's got something to do with it. I don't know for sure, obviously. Matt Burton shifts to the centres away from 5'8", and Api Coruscant has been named to start, with Mitch Kenny dropping to the bench. For the Broncos, Tom Flegler and Jordan Ricky start in the forwards, with Kennedy and Rabadi benched. Corey Pay replaces Jesse Arthurs in the 17. And that's all for the Broncos changes. Sorry, I had a bit of a glitch there in my brain. In terms of the head-to-head market, you'll get $1.10 for the Panthers, which is about right, and $6.50 for the Broncos. Anytime try scorers, I've gone all Panthers. Charlie Staines, $1.45. Brian To'o, $1.45 also. Again, same as in the Manly clash, because of short odds of the try scorers, maybe put them into a multi if you think they're both going to score, just to boost up your odds a little bit there. And then Api Coruscant, $3.50. I think this is a game that he's primed to score a try from dummy half in. Couple of meters out, bang, straight through the Brisbane defence. I can see that happening. $3.50, great odds there. My tip in this game is Panthers by 40, and I'll be honest with you, that is a damn conservative tip from me. 40 points. I don't even think the Brisbane Broncos will score in this game. It could be a 60-point win, to be perfectly honest with you. And if you like Penrith at that 13 plus, you'll only get $1.44. But again, maybe whack that into a multi. Hey, maybe put Api Coruscant in there for a multi and just boost up those odds. First Sunday game comes to us from Cbus Super Stadium, and that sees the St. George Illawarra Dragons take on the Gold Coast Titans. Funnily enough, the Gold Coast Titans are at home, but they are not the home side. Last week, Dragons lost to the Seagulls. I mentioned earlier they conceded 45 missed tackles. That is damn near embarrassing. Titans last week went down to the Eels. They were really never in that contest. They scored 2 consolation tries at the death, and that was it. In terms of team changes for the Dragons, given that they're still dealing with their suspension woes as a result of the COVID barbecue gate scandal, too many team changes to name. Please refer to my team list. For the Titans, Phil Sammy, Jamal Fogarty, and Aaron Clark are all out injured, which means that Sexton, what's his first name? Terrible notes, Ben, terrible. Toby Sexton, never heard of him before, don't know anything about him, but he's debuting at halfback for the Titans. Marzu returns on the wing, and Rain replaces Clark. Fodawaker is named to start, with Jolliffe benched. In the head-to-head market, you get $2.45 for the Dragons, $1.53 for the Titans. Although, to be perfectly honest, I would have thought those odds would have been a little bit closer together. I almost think it's maybe more favouring the Titans, yes, but it's a little bit more of an even contest than that, even considering the outs that the Dragons have got. In the anytime try scorer market, the only Dragon I'm whacking in there is Matt Duffy at $2.20. Corey Thompson, you'll get $1.72 for, and David Fifita, $2.50. I think that's a really good bet there, David Fifita. My tip is this one to be a close one. I'm going Titans by 6, and if you like the Titans 1 to 12, you'll get $3 for them. Bulldogs Sharks from Cbus Super Stadium again. So we got a doubleheader to end our round 19 of NRL football this week. Last week, the Bulldogs went down to the Rabbitohs 24-32, as I mentioned earlier. Trent Barrett would have to be happy with his team's showing it against a team that is in the conversation for being a premiership contender. I'll say they're in the conversation. I don't want to call them a premiership contender at this point in time. I'm just not convinced given their pretty average defense at times. But he'd have to be happy with that, with their effort. That being said, what we're going to remember most about this game is that weird Lachlan Lewis-Cody Walker incident at halftime where Lachlan Lewis puts a wrestling tackle on Cody Walker after he's said some words to him or whatever. It's a really weird situation, but it probably puts a bit of a dampener on what was otherwise, like a promising performance from them. That said, Lachlan Lewis does retain his spot in the side this week. He wasn't punished for that. Sharks last week. They went down to my Raiders, of course. They lost 18-34. It was a good game. It was a really, really high quality contest. It was 12-all at halftime. And then Raiders, as they've been good at doing in the past, but not as much this season, kind of refining that touch, or at least they have over the last 2 weeks. They really got into the grind, and they managed to pretty much arm wrestle themselves to a victory, which is really good to see. And that's what the good sides do to you. Unfortunately, we haven't seen as much of that this year from the Raiders as we'd like to, and that's how they find themselves in a position where they're essentially holding on for dear life to make the finals. For the Bulldogs, in terms of team changes, too many to name. Please refer to the team list. For the Sharks, Aiden Tolman is suspended ahead of a game against his former club for the second time this year. Toby Rudolph moves to prop in his place. Williams starts at lock and Hunt joins the bench. In the head-to-head market, you will get $3.80 for the Bulldogs and $1.25 for the Sharks. Sounds about right to me. Anytime try scorer market, I'm going for all Sharkies players. I've got Will Kennedy at $2.05. That is really good odds for him. He's a potent try scorer, that man. Sione Katoa from the wing, $1.55. And Braden Hamlin-Uele, $5.25. Another forward who's quickly becoming one of my favorite players. The guy is just like I don't know. You look at him on the field and you're like, you look like you're too big to be playing any kind of sport, but he's just like an absolute powerhouse. And I just don't see the Bulldogs being able to contain him just from a one-out pass, a few minutes out from the line. He's just going to be too strong. $5.25, some great odds there. My tip in this game is the Sharks by 12 points. So if you like the 1-12, you'll get $3 for that. And that's all I've got for you for this video and this week's preview of NRL matches. Again, if you like this video, please give me a like. I really appreciate the support. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please smash that subscribe button. And I will see you in the next video.